What's going on, my man?
Hey Zach, how are you?
Living the dream. Ready to get some deals done? I know we've been asked a lot of by associates and others like how you guys structure deals. So I figured we just make it live. We'll record it. We can repurpose it for the community. And we
Cool.
got your deal going on, Wendy's deal. Everybody at different stages. I think I got 2 or 3 other people, and we'll have a lot of fun.
I actually got up earlier today trying to get it all together. So I knew I was going to have some questions, so this worked out perfectly.
All right, everyone. We'll go ahead and we'll get started here to work these deals, and we'll move it forward. All right, Adam, let's get started, my man. So let's walk me through this deal. So just to start to finish, just because people are hopping on and they may not know where the heck this deal is. So walk me from start to finish. Lead, where do you get the lead, where you currently are with the seller, and then we'll walk through how to structure this deal.
Okay, so the lead came from an expired. I called him a few weeks ago. I called him first on initial property that we're going to be working through today. I had a couple conversations with him after that. It turns out that he actually has multiple properties in the area. The reason he was saying that it, didn't go on the market is the timing. I think he had it on during the holidays, and it didn't go right away. So after speaking with him, the usual script, fast forward to now, I got obviously you on the phone with him and we had a conversation. So the deal we'll be working towards today is the one in the single family 4-bedroom 2-bath that he's open to doing on terms. And he says if it makes sense for him, there may be some other deals in the future. So turned out to have some real potential.
Love it. I wish we had that recording so people could hear that, but I won't hold against you.
Yeah, noted.
We try to share my iPad here. We can get started. Okay, so you got a seller. He owns a couple properties. He's getting older, and he's looking to sell this property. Okay, so let's walk through what we have so far. So what do we know right now?
So
Things that we need to know in order to structure this deal.
Like you said, he's getting older. One of his main objections was that he doesn't want these to become a burden to him. And like I said, he has multiple properties in the area, and he just doesn't want to be tied to them. And then we explained to him that instead of looking at it as a burden, it could be a potential moneymaker for you. He's got some of them in the trust as well, so it could be a potential income for him for his kids, his grandkids. So once we kind of discussed that with him, then we kind of got into the price, and he was on the market for 174, and after we discussed some of the options, I think the price we got him to was 165, so that would be his asking price.
Okay, so 165. So we get him down about $9,000 just by simply asking some questions of what were you hoping to get on the property, what are you looking to net.
Right.
We do know that. So let's look at the purchase price. 165 is what he's asking for. We do know that there's no mortgage. It's free and clear.
Free and clear.
Which makes me think that this is going to go owner financing. One of the seller's objection on the call was that he didn't want to go long term. He didn't know if he was going to be around. He also originally said that he didn't want to do this period because he didn't want to put a burden on his grandchildren or his son. And after we went through some objections and rebuttal and let him know that actually this could not only be something, this is not only not a burden, But this is also could be something that your son or your kids and your grandkids can benefit from if we end up doing something long term. Now, I know he wanted roughly 5 years, but if he did some long term, his trust could now be providing income to his family for a long period of time, as it's free and clear. Okay. So the term that he was hoping to get was roughly 5 years, right?
Right. And I'm glad we're going through this one specifically because I come across these a fair amount where they have a tenant in place, which this one has a tenant in place. He signed a lease in October for an 18-month lease.
Yeah. 18-month lease, $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah. And I know you kind of already set some expectations on that call. I don't know if you want to get into that or not, but I did notice that you kind of noted that in the call with him about what that would look like.
Yeah, because one of the expectations was, look, Mr. Seller, and the way I phrased it was, if we're able to get you to your price and we're able to get you some cash flow, and I was being very specific of, there's no way I can give you what he's giving, what you're getting right now, because it has to make sense financially for us to have cash flow on this. Would you be open to doing owner financing?
Right.
And then he said yes, and he said, what type of term are you talking about? And I term anchored him with 30 years, and then we got back to 5, and he was comfortable with a 5-year balloon.
Yep. So that's where we're at.
Okay. All right. So let's play here. Let's play here a bit. So did you go ahead and pull? I know you're a realtor, so you should be able to pull CMAs, right? Did you go ahead and pull CMA? All right.
Yep.
So what is your CMA telling you right now that this property's worth?
Right now, it's at around 170.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing in that area. And the rent comps, he's actually a little under rent. It's like $1,300 a month, possible there. But in terms of what the market is, I would say 170 to 180. My initial thought was for a tenant buyer to be closer to 180.
Okay. Yep. All right. So let's look at this then. Let's look at some potential, because you already told me it's below what the market's saying, and it's on owner financing, which means you could always pay more because you're getting owner financing versus the traditional market. So, okay, let's put together some options then.
Okay.
So immediately it comes to my mind is, and we didn't talk lease option. We talked very specifically owner financing. So option 1, owner financing. I mean, his purchase price, and the one thing he did not bring up was interest. He just said cash flow. So I'm not going to put interest in this option or in these options if he didn't bring it up.
He also didn't bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, this next level, right? Maybe we send out these options and then the seller says, well, what about interest? All right, well, you didn't mention interest. You mentioned purchase price the whole time in term. So I would be okay with, and I'm being, this may seem a little bit more simple than most, but I'd be okay with structuring $165,000 purchase price if you're telling me that it's already $5K under budget or under CMA. Next, as far as a monthly payment, we got to look at a couple things involved. So what were the taxes? Do you remember?
Yeah, I got him. $1,300 a year.
Okay, so what is that per month?
Let's see, what is that?
Over $100, 125.
Yeah, 108.
108. Okay, $108 per month.
Mm-hmm.
And then the insurance was how much?
30 bucks a month. He said it was $350 a year, which he's got a lot of properties in the area, so he may be getting the lower. I'm not sure how he's got it worked out. But.
Okay, so you got like basically 100, let's just say round up $150 a month in expenses. You are being a landlord in this scenario, so I do want to make sure that before you send out any of these options that you feel comfortable doing so. You don't have to
Right.
answer us, but it is an additional thing that comes into play, right? So from there, so I'm just going to round up and say it's going to be 150 just in case any of that changes per month. And he's currently collecting $1,000. So that's an $850 spread right now. Right? What type of monthly spread would you like to have?
I didn't really think about that, but I'm not sure what the principal pay down would be.
Well, I'm
Like,
going to do 100% principal pay down right now.
okay. I'd like to see at least a couple $100, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be doable.
850. Okay. I mean, it's 165. Do you have a mortgage calculator?
Yeah, I pulled it up here. I thought we might go into that.
Yeah. So tell me what's 165. Let's say 20% down payment at 4% interest.
So that would be actually,
The reason why I'm doing this, just so everybody knows, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to determine roughly how much a traditional buyer is going to be spending on a monthly basis.
$692 a month would be
Okay.
the monthly payment.
Yeah, so then that makes me think, based on experience, that we could probably be somewhere in the fives because then you're getting about a $350 spread day one. I would think with a tenant buyer, you're going to probably be able to get like 11 to 1,200 bucks maybe
Yeah,
because you add the taxes back in, which is about 150. So you can maybe go on the market for 1,000 or 900, add the taxes back in. You're still at the same spread. So my monthly payment, I would say somewhere, let's say like 527
okay.
principal only. Now he's a active landlord. So do I think he's going to accept principal only? Maybe, maybe not. But I want to offer it, which then makes me think if we're going to offer principal only, I think we give him like 171, 277. Why am I saying that? Because let's look at, do you know what? Can you give me 527 times 60 months?
That's 31 grand, 31,620.
Yeah, so 31,000. All right, let's do this. Because I would like to entice the seller to take the principal only payments versus any interest because you're going to get $30,000 in principal pay down in that time frame. So that's why I'm thinking if we can put a 7 in front of it, because you said that CMA is coming out somewhere in the 170s, low 170s. You're paying top market, but you're not even paying a premium yet. But that may entice him to take principal only versus getting interest on this.
Okay, that makes sense.
So then term 60 months. So now you're giving him his price. You're getting the monthly payment that you want, and he's getting his term. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at do a second option if we want still owner financing. We could do a higher price for the longer term. We could do a couple different things. I'm just consistently racking my brain here. It wasn't like he wanted anything in particular other than 165.
Yeah, when we were having a discussion, basically we got him to, if you got 165, would you consider, and that's what he said, yeah.
Here, let's do this. Let's move this to 72 months
Okay.
because he's getting a price, right? And then let's do purchase price on option 2 at his 165-ish. I always want to make sure that it's not 100% even. There's a psychological thing behind this. It's not that we have a very particular mathematical equation that's going to get us this number. But if it's all zeros, then sellers tend to feel that they could have inched out more money versus them seeing a very particular number. They start to think to themselves, oh, they must have had some formula that allowed them to get to this number. So that's a little trademark secret there. So 165, 111. Let's do that. 111. Monthly payment. Let's be somewhere in the 4s. Well, like 415 principal. So when I say that, I'm talking 0% interest. Term. Let's do 60 months. Again, shorter term, lower monthly payment, higher spread, higher cash flow.
Oh, Zach, real quick, with the tenant being in place, I really want to understand the term. So if he's on 18-month term,
let's look at the time frame here. So he started in October and he has 18 months. So yeah, October. So that brings him out to what, like the summer, June of 2023.
Yeah.
Ish. Is that what it is? Somewhere around there. Fall. It's fall. October is 12 months. And then so April
23.
So this is what it looks like. This is why I want to create cash flow immediately. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have this tenant buyer or this tenant for the first, it's not 18 months, it's going to be like the first 12 months-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
January. So you have those for about 13 months. So you walk in and you're not getting a payday 1, you're just getting cash flow, but you're also getting principal pay down.
Right.
So in say the first, I think it's like 13 months, you're getting, let's say we take option 1. That's also why I'm open to paying a higher price, because really you still have a 60-month term on the 72 months.
Yeah.
You still got 5 years once the tenant leaves.
So it would start after the tenant leaves.
In this, you could do that, but I also would give them no reason to sell to you now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to do that. But
It's also not offering a down payment right away either. We got no down payment or payday 1 to offset it.
Right. Okay.
So with this, but I'm saying payday, this one right here, you still would have 60 months roughly after tenant leaves. You still got 5 years. This one, you got 48 months after tenant leaves.
I see what you're saying now. Makes sense.
So in 13 months, you're getting roughly, so 527 plus 150, you're getting basically 300 to 4, it's about 300 times, 13. So that's your cash flow. Plus you have 527 times 13, that's your principal pay down. Uh, 300 times 13, what is that?
3,900.
39. All right, so you get 3,900 in cash flow by inheriting this tenant, and 527 times 13. That's gonna be your
6,851.
Okay, so the reason why you would inherit a tenant is roughly you're gonna get about 10 grand by inheriting at the beginning.
Okay.
this is important because there has to be some enticing reason to inherit a tenant. It has to offset it because are you actually going to get this 10 grand? Maybe. But if something goes wrong on the property, you're responsible for it. So you may get 5 out of it. So then you have to look at, all right, well, what are the next 60 months bring after I get the tenant out? And are those 3 paydays worth this? Okay. So that I'll help you structure this deal here, but these will be questions that maybe you ask yourself before these options go up.
Right.
All right. So you got option 1, you got option 2. Lowering the price. The only other one I can think of is if you really want to make this a long-term deal, you can offer them like a 10-year term at an interest rate and say, but we'll give you 10 years and we'll pay a 3% interest. What is 3% interest on this?
You mean the whole payment?
Yep. Actually, here's a better one. This is what I'm going to offer for option 3. Because we have a tenant in place, option 3. What I'm suggesting is you could potentially give them the same purchase price. Actually, you could probably give them a higher purchase price. So let's give them roughly 175 because you got 10 years. Is the market going to go up in 10 years? Yes, it's very likely. 175, 317. You have a monthly payment. First, I would do a monthly payment of, let's say, around, well, let's bring it back to about that 415, principal only. So 0% interest. And let's do that for the first 12 months. So when you inherit this tenant, it's all principal. And then, so then if you could take 175, subtract it by 415 times 12.
170,337.
Okay, 170. Now, what does that look like at a 3% interest rate? So now you got to take the 170 and then do that by 3% interest over a 30-year AM.
With about 3% interest.
Yep.
$717.
Okay. What's that 165?
696.
Oh, because then you got, if you're at 7 something, you had the 150 back in, you're like at 9. There's no spread.
I think with what, I'm not sure if I would send him an option with interest. Oh, this one in the beginning, because he sounded pretty open to what we were discussing. Initially, it sounded like the price was the most important thing to him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's not even bring interest to the table then.
Okay.
So then the only other thought, well, I don't really want to give him. I mean, I guess we could give him somewhere at like 160 for 48 months. That's just going to put you in a little bit tighter of a spot because you only have 36 months once the tenant leaves.
Yeah, which is doable, and from what I've seen, it'll be a great rent to own home. So really, I really like obviously the first option we gave him. Hopefully he would, that'd be the ideal situation because that's plenty of time to do that.
Okay, so option 3, so what's 527 times 12 again?
27 times 12. Quick math. 6,324.
6,000. Okay, so let's do that in half then, so we can offer like it's like 161. 277. I thought is, and you guys continue to see me keep going back, I say we give him somewhere just over 6 on this number. Like 607. It's a little bit lower of a spread, I know, but you're
Yeah,
getting all principal and it's a little bit higher of a price.
and that's what, yeah,
Then we give him somewhere in the 5s here. 515. And then that allows us to give like 403, 0% interest here. Term 48 months.
so he gets a shorter term, less monthly, but shorter term if he wanted to go that
Shorter
route.
term, less monthly, less purchase price. Higher term, higher cash flow, higher purchase price.
Got it.
Feel good?
Yeah, I really like the first option. That's what, you know, but he's got him to choose from. So, and we could always tweak it, you know, once we send it over if he, you know, was leaning towards something else. So he seemed pretty open. We just go from there, I guess.
Awesome. All right, my man. We're type those up and
Yep.
get them out. If you need me to look at them real quick, just hit me on Slack.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Beautiful. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. All right, Adam. Well, awesome job. Who would like to go next? I know we have Wendy, Russell. I'll go with Russell just because I know he's at work. Poor guy. One day you won't be there. Plus, I know that you've been working directly with Chris. So I think that you may, you know, be a lot further along. So this probably won't be over the top complicated for this.
Yeah. Yeah. So the guy countered. So I just wanted to tell you what the counter was. I sent it you in Slack. So I sent you the 3 options in Slack. You want to pull that up. And we calculated the monthly a little differently.
I'm sure he did. Me and Chris don't always
yeah, well,
see eye to eye on every single one.
Yeah, I mean, he originally was gonna do it your way, and then he just like, no, we'll do this way.
It's always good. Okay, let's see it. Okay, this is the all right. So you sent out a proposal, right? So
Yeah.
just so everyone knows, we got an owner financing deal right now. Purchase price is at about $1 million. Guy's open to go 60 months. Down on Palms. Is it Palm Springs, California?
Palm Desert, yeah, same area.
Yeah, Palm Desert. That just sounds so enticing. Palm Desert, and it's right on a golf course. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's look at these options here.
Yeah, so just to preface it, I spoke with him, and out of these 4 numbers, I said, what is most important? And he said price. And then Zach spoke with him and got the same answer. So go ahead, and then we'll kind of pivot off of that.
Okay, so these are the counter offers.
No, this is the original offer that Chris and I kind of came up with, and then he called me back.
All right, so we got purchase price option 1, purchase price $1,050,000. Term on or before 60 months, so balloon payment due. Principal only payments of $2,667. Down payment of $100,000. Just so everybody's aware, because I know we typically say no money down, things like that. We're going to we intentionally were looking at 100,000 or less because that's 10%, and we believe that we're going to be able to collect a 20%. Or at least 15 if we were going to accept a buyer. We're going to make this contingent. If we're going to accept them, we need to exceed that and put us in a good position. And that was going to come directly off of principal as well. So option 2, 1,030,500, 60 months, principal payment of 2,667 for the first 12 months. Then we're going to do 2% interest for the next 60. Then option 3 is 1,010,000, term 72 months, principal payments for the first 12 months of 2,667. Then we're going to do interest of 2% for the next 3 years. Then the next 3 years after that, increase it to a 3% interest rate. All right, now that we have the baseline, where do we currently stand, Russell?
So he called back yesterday and he says, that's not gonna work. He says, I'm gonna need interest right away,
Okay,
and he wants 4%. Which is disappointing because, you know, we got to his, what was most important, and then he threw that at us. So he wants 4% right off the bat.
okay, he wants 4% right off the bat. What does that equal as a monthly payment?
If we just amortize it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you gotta take the, so is, all right, when he said, I need 4% right off the bat, what purchase price and what term was he saying that towards?
he didn't say either option. He just said that's what he wanted right off the bat. So I'm assuming it's the 1,050,000 because that's the purchase price he wants.
Yeah, because I'm assuming it's the 1,010,000. He goes, all right, you want 4%, and so now we're limiting our cash flow. I gotta pay you a lower price. So you open to that?
Right. So it's 4,535 if you did option one minus the down payment.
4,535. How much is principal? How much is interest?
Gosh, I don't have my glasses.
Come on.
For the year, 37,695
37,695 of what?
interest for the
Okay.
year, and then 16,728 for principal.
Okay. Is he willing to do a longer term if we gave him that interest? Like, is he willing to do 10 years then?
Well, one of his comments, and I think he said it to you, that he's not going to live long enough for this term, and that his estate would take over. So,
Well, so we're setting up his estate because they're getting interest now.
right.
So my counter would be, look, we may be able to do 4%, but I would probably start at 3. And what's
Yeah.
the 3% interest rate?
Don't save. Come on. I knew you were gonna do this to me.
This is what deal structuring is. It's
Yeah.
what if this, then what?
Then what? 3%.
All right.
All right. 4,005 monthly.
4,005. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. What do you think the rent is? Like, what do you think we're going to be able to get on the market?
The comps are 45 to 5.
45 to 5. Okay. And what do you think we can sell this for? Because if you're buying it at $1 million, what?
Well,
you
you
can sell for
guys,
1.1.
yeah, you guys have preached, go, I mean, what's the difference between 1 million to somebody and 1.2 or 1.3, right? So, my
Is there
last
any
$1 million.
comps that support that? Is there any like comps that say, oh, there's a house that sold for 1.1?
Well, I mean, Zillow has it at 1.2.
Okay. For whatever that, I mean, it's still
Right,
just
right.
proof. So, okay. So I guess that my question to him would be, all right, if we bought it at $1 million, I would counter. I would say $1 million, 3% interest rate, and see what he says.
Okay. Yeah,
He's gonna make up for it.
yeah, and Chris suggested maybe have a lower interest rate the first year and then do 4% maybe the last 4 years, and stretch it out to 35-year mortgage or a 4-year mortgage. So that's
Yeah,
something.
you could do that. You could say, so here's a couple options. One option is you could give him this price. What's the 4% interest at a 40-year mortgage? Because you're still gonna have a 5-year balloon or a 10-year balloon. It's just
Right.
lowering our payment.
$40 years.
Yeah, 40-year AM.
The monthly is 3970.
Okay, so that's how you can get them to 4%.
Yeah, same interest. Less principal though. 7 grand less principal.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking this through. Well, we're looking at a counter. I would say, and a lot of this can be done, like if somebody hit me on this, and this is just good for everyone. A lot of this deal structuring can just be done via phone. Like if the guy said, well, no, I need 4%, I would say, okay, if we were to get you to 4%, are you willing to lower your price? If we were willing to do 4%, are you willing to do a longer amortization schedule? Or are you open to do a longer term before you balloon? Because I'd want, like, if he needs something, there has to be a give and take. It can't just be, I get my price, my interest rate, and my term. There has to be some flexibility on both sides. So my immediate reaction goes, you want something, what are you willing to give up? Because it's not a negotiation if both sides aren't willing to give up something.
And you're not going to say, hey, but this is what you said last time. You wouldn't do that, right?
I would.
Okay.
I would say originally you told us this was important to you. That's why these options were crafted this way. If you told me interest was important to you, I would be structuring this completely different.
Okay.
That's why I want to go back and say, you told me this was important. Now you're telling me this is important. What is more important, or what are you open to changing in order for it to make financial sense for us? Because we're willing to play ball, but it needs to make sense for us as well. The great thing about all of this is worst case scenario, Russell. I'm not saying to do this all the time, but worst case scenario, you say, let's say he doesn't budge on everything, but he budges on at least one thing. You just tie it up contingent and you say to him, look, I'm going to do my best right now. I believe I can make this happen, but if the market tells me no, then I have to come back to you. And I'm being honest with you, 4% is at the top of the market because my buyers aren't even going to be able to spend that much, are going to be just over that. And it doesn't make sense from a liability standpoint for us to take on $1 million property if we're not cash flowing and getting some good equity in this property. It doesn't make sense. You can get more cash flow and more equity on a $200,000 deal and less liability.
Right. And Chris suggested this morning.
Who's this Chris guy?
I don't know. But he suggested that, hey, we're going to take it to, to our buyers that need time, and we're going to need, and when they get financing, that's going to be basically their payment. So we're basically breaking even on that payment. So we need, some give and take on that. I don't know if that's a suggestion too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. But we're saying it slightly different, but we're saying this is what me and him do all the time. We go back and forth, and we're saying the exact same thing. We're just saying it differently. So let me just write down some notes here, so that way you have some ammo to go back.
Yeah.
By just some reactions here is, you don't have to, please don't unmute or anything like that, but by some reactions like smiles or hand claps or whatever. Is this helpful for everyone? Okay, I just want to make sure. It's like I'm talking here for the last 45 minutes. I want to make sure this is helpful, but also I really appreciate Russell and Adam and Wendy and Annalisa being okay with saying, hey, let's structure these deals, but we can also pass along and let people participate, watch and record this, so that way people can learn. So I appreciate that. So the seller comes back, right? Things that we know, the seller comes back and says 4% now is important, and it has to happen right away from day one. So some options for you to work on, Russell, are some action here is discovering, is interest or price or term most important? Because we structured this deal with in mind that with that price was most important. if price is no longer most important, we need to discover, okay, how low of a price can we get now? And how long of a term can we get? This deal, $1 million deal, becomes way less risky if you got 10 years. Or if you got a lower purchase price, knowing that, all right, I'm at like $1 million or just below $1 million, knowing I can get 1.2 on the market right now. Somebody's going to come in with 10 to 20% down or 20% down. We're already 100K up, even if we got to give them a down payment. And equity wise, we're up 300,000 because you're down to 900,000 and you sold it for 1.2. Even though you've already collected some of it, it just makes you feel better that there's that type of margin. In case that buyer defaults, now you're up 300,000 in equity. I feel way better when I'm at 300,000 on $1 million property right now. Because God forbid you need to take it to the traditional market again, you can cut your price in order to do so if we need to cash the seller out. We did this with another $1 million property. So that's the next step. That would be it. And then, of course, if he says, so some additional info that we can work with is if 4% is most important and we can get a lower price for a longer term, or if he's only willing to budge on one, can we do it on a 40-year AM? Or can we get it at a 3% interest, even if these two don't change that drastically? Because we discovered on a 3% interest rate, you may get roughly $1,000 spread. Or if we can get 40-year AM on the 4%, same thing, less principal, right? But you're getting that same type of spread. So this is step one. This would probably be step two after you have that conversation, is sending out new options. But I would completely be like, all right, guy, this is what you told me. This is the way we crafted up. Now you're switching up the game on me. I need to have more information now in order for me to make another decision. And between you and I, you're wasting time. Any follow-up questions that, Russell? I just want to make sure you're feeling good.
Awesome stuff. Thank you. I'll let Chris know. You did a great job.
Thanks. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Who is up next? Wendy or Annalisa? Annalisa, it looks like whoever wants to go first. Whoever wants to go next, I don't care.
I can go or I can wait. Okay.
I think you guys are both, you and Wendy, ladies, are both at the exact same stage. You both went on appointments. We got some comps, we have some information, and now we just got to work on options. So yeah, we'll start with you, Annalisa, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Great.
All right, let's do this. So tell us about lead source. Tell us about motivation. Tell us how your appointment went, and maybe like in any viable information that you think is necessary for us to know in order to structure this deal. And then we got to look at comps and then go from there.
Okay. So this was an expired listing, and he's asking 1.5. He's been trying to sell the home. He has not had a lot of luck. It is in gorgeous, beautiful condition, was actually finished in 2020. He's been in the business for a long time, and it's like a hobby of his to build a home every year. And he once owned over 50 lots in the area. So now he's wanting to divest the portfolio, and he actually has 2 homes to sell. And I got to see them both on my visit yesterday, and we had a great visit and very good rapport. And he seems to be flexible, but he also kind of seems stuck in the idea of more traditional owner financing is. And that's where I am right now. He mentioned it too. I just wrote stuff down.
Okay. Yeah.
So, because I figured at my level of inexperience that I really need I need some help.
Yep.
He mentioned a $200,000 down payment. He has a situation with the owner, with a possible buyer to the house next door, where he's offering this guy a 30-year note at 5% that would be due in 3 years. So this is what he has in his mind. And so that's what I have to kind of move him from. But he did seem, like I said, he did seem flexible. That price seemed important, 1.5. He mentioned that he has an appraisal for 1.7. And yeah, it does have an HOA. It's HOA fees are $105 a month. There's no mortgage on the property, so he is interested in owner financing. He did say he was willing to do 3 years.
Term 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Any other costs? Monthly costs. I know this property's like sitting over the water.
It's sitting over the water, but it's at over 500 feet, as it turns out, and the dam upstream is 500 feet also. So he said that it is not considered a flood zone and flood insurance is not required.
Wild. Okay. No flood insurance. What are the taxes?
I forgot to ask about the taxes. It's probably in the listing.
Yeah, you might be able to just even pull it up on Zillow right now and just get a rough estimate.
Right. He did say he didn't have documents for me. It was a little casual in that way, but he said his insurance is about $5,000 a year. And he says that doesn't include flood, but it does include fire, which is very important in this part of the world. It's important everywhere.
Okay, so what's the fire cost then? What's the fire insurance?
Well, he said about $5,000 a year for insurance, including fire.
Okay. Insurance. So what does that break down monthly?
The 5,000 or the 5,000 plus the HOA? HOA is $1,260, and so it would be $6,260.
No, so just do the 5,000
monthly.
divided by 12. Tell us what the
$522.
522. Okay, 522 per month. Then you got HOA of 105.
Sorry, that is with HOA.
Okay, 522 is with HOA. Got it. So then can you just quickly look up on Zillow what the taxes are? Because that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling, I mean, I got a gut feel that this monthly payment is going to be way above what we're going to want to spend. But that's just a gut feel at 5% interest.
Yes.
Property taxes in 2020 were $1,457, if I have the address right. So it's 658 Bret Hart.
658 Bret Hart.
Yeah, last year's taxes was $1,457.
Per month?
I believe that's annual.
So did he just build this? He just built this house,
Crazy.
all right?
That
built
is
the
why.
house.
Yeah.
The tax assessment is only for $120,000.
Yeah, he bought the land.
He bought the land like 35 years ago.
Yeah, that's why it hasn't been reassessed.
Yeah.
Anybody have any, like, could you look at the property next door?
So it says, oh wait, sorry. I will look at the property next door.
It just didn't get reassessed since he built it, but as soon as you sell it, best believe they're going to be reassessing the situation. Usually when you build a house, you can usually get away for a couple of years
Yeah.
without a reassessment, depending on the area, of course. I am not an assessor. I do not work in the assessor's office. So if I'm giving you misinformation, don't take it to heart. I gotta say it, just like I'm not an attorney. I'm not a mortgage lender. I'm not a CPA. Oh, we'll wait for that.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, what is the 1.5 million minus the 200,000? So 1.3 at 5% interest rate.
Mm,
Hey, Zach,
Yeah.
the house next door was assessed at 580,000, and its annual property taxes are 6,000. So this one might land in the 12,000 range.
That's what I was thinking, about 12,000. So was that 1,000 a month? Let's just say, assume. All right, so your total costs already are about 1,600 bucks before you walk in there, or about 17, we'll round up. That's $1,700.
Okay, and he did have the property rented,
For how much?
4,200.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have 1,700 in costs, so it makes sense to him. And these numbers may make sense to somebody that's going to live there, but it certainly isn't going to make sense to somebody that's trying to get a middle spread here. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's my concern too. And
So
of course,
there's a couple things where my brain goes. If he's willing to go lower interest rate, like if that's, we got to figure out what's most important to him. That'd be number one, because I'm always upfront with people. Look, I'm a real estate investor. Like, it has to make financial sense for us, or we just won't do it. Again, it's a $1.5 million house. There's no point in getting liability on a property if you can do the exact same, if not better, with a much smaller house. I can do some
Absolutely.
houses, we got 500 in spread, 1,000 in spread, and they're only worth 500,000.
yeah, you sleep better at night.
Yeah, and for those that, I know some people are on here, and if you're not in QLS, and if you are, I mean, if you look at our owner financing agreements, and I can imagine if this guy has done this in the past, he may have his own agreements, which are going to be a whole nother thing for us to go with our attorneys on. But in our agreements, we're only liable for what we put down and what we have paid to that point. So I'll still sleep fine at night. It's just morally and ethically, if this thing now you put a buyer in there and then they default, you're liable for whatever that monthly payment is. And you're going to do your best to get that thing to the finish line. So you're just going to be particular when it comes to these high price houses. Now, that house may be very normal price range for that area. I know you're in California. So the median price range might be much higher than others in other areas. So first and foremost, action items. I would find out what is most important to him. Purchase price, interest rate, down payment, term. Let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys see how my brain is working right now. And I'm suggesting, if you do not have an iPad where you can get good notes or something, I highly recommend it. It's the best tool I've ever used. And it's very helpful. It's just taking forever to load today. Okay, so I just put down the information that you gave me so far. $1.5 million purchase price, down payment of 200,000, 5% interest rate, 3 years. Total out-of-pocket costs that we already are seeing are $1,700 a month. What we also were told was the rent that the landlord was able to get, or the owner was able to get earlier, was about $4,200. So if we take 1,700 and we subtract it, and you get about a $2,900 spread at that point. But it's very, so 2,900. That's if you're not paying him any monthly towards the principal. So just reiterating again, we got to figure out what's most important to him. So I'm suggesting we have additional conversation, because right now these things just don't make financial sense for us. Did you come up with the total cost at the 5% interest rate at 1.3? I'm just curious.
Meg, did you get that?
I'm sorry, at 1.83? No, I did not I didn't do it that way.
Yeah, because you do 1.3, 30-year amortization, 5% interest.
Okay. I'm working on that. I'm sorry to say that my calculator does not like it when I go to Slack. So
Okay.
it's slow.
I do recommend everybody has like an app on their phone for AM schedules or bank rate or AM calculator. There's a bunch. If you just type in, if you just Google amortization schedule, you'll get plenty
Okay.
of different ones to use.
Yeah.
I just can't because I can't share my screen right now. What do we have for a monthly payment?
Well, I did the calculation for 1.5 million. I'm trying to get my computer to do 1.3 million again.
Adam, do you mind helping us
Hey,
out here,
Zach.
bud? Go ahead. Who's that?
I got a number here.
Okay, what is it?
Monthly payment, 3,638. Interest paid,
638. Okay,
interest paid, 9,801.
900, 801 for what? Is that for the year?
Interest paid for, let's see here.
The 3638 is fine with me for now. That's the monthly payment.
And it just shows interest paid of 9,801.
Okay. All right. So
I would
looking
assume
at
that's
this-
per year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I finally got the answer. At a $1.3 million loan amount and 5% interest on a 30-year schedule, the monthly payment is $69.78 per month.
That's up. Okay. So plus your 1,700 bucks. So you can see how far of a gap we are
Yeah.
in order to make this work. So what I'm suggesting is this guy needs to completely rethink or just not gonna be a deal because we need to create a spread here. Because let's look at, so you got the average buyer is gonna spend $69.78 plus the $1,700 a month, which is gonna bring it to about $9,000 a year or $9,000 a month at a 5% interest rate. I'd be curious what a 4% interest rate is. May, could you use on a 4%
Yep.
interest rate?
I'm working on that.
Beautiful. Because when I look at that, the 4% is more likely what somebody's going to spend on the traditional market right now. Like that's the 4% interest rate is probably what's going to happen.
Okay, so at 4%, the monthly payment is $62.06.
206. So unless this seller basically is willing to, because you're going to be looking at the rental market as well, unless the seller is open to getting this payment probably lower than maybe like a $4,000 monthly payment plus taxes and insurance, like closer to that rent, because your total cost would then be about 4,000, so it'd be about 5,700. And we could potentially get roughly $6,900, 69 to probably, let's say 69 to about 8 grand, because you're obviously gonna sell this thing for a lot more. I mean, if you're buying it for 1.5, you gotta sell it for like 1.7. No, it makes sense. My gut feel tells me that he's probably not gonna do that, which makes me think that we could potentially take this either on an AO or tie it up on a purchase and sale agreement and see if we can go and take it to market. That's what we've done in plenty of these. And see if we can get a higher down payment at a slightly higher purchase price. You get like 100,000, he gets 200,000, and we call it a day, and we assign him the buyer. Is that making sense, Annalisa?
I feel a little lost. Yeah,
Okay,
honestly.
so
I
with
mean,
the higher priced
I think I'm
properties-
just stunned at how bad these numbers look. So I didn't quite catch.
no, so this is what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting you get. I'm suggesting number one, you have a conversation with the seller and find out what's most important. See if we can get any of these to budge. Because I really think the only strategy that you have is you go ahead and you get this on a P&S, purchase and sales agreement, contingent upon a buyer. So you'll then put the terms in here, purchase price, interest rate, down payment. You would then, so now you have the purchase and sale agreement contingent upon finding a buyer. You would then increase the purchase price on the open market, see if you can get a higher down payment, and then you take your portion. So you get a portion of the down payment, and he gets a portion of the down payment. And you simply assign, you get that P&S signed, and you simply assign that buyer to the seller, and then they are now married. Basically, what I'm suggesting is you just give yourself a chance, take it to market, and that's how I'd have the conversation. Look, based on your terms, it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to want to stay in the middle of this. What we can certainly do is we can tie up these agreement. We can tie up the terms here. I can take it to market and see if I get a higher price. I get a large enough down payment that you and I are both satisfied with. I'll take my portion, you take your portion, and we both walk away. And now you have a great buyer in your property that has a down payment. You're getting your interest rate, and you have your terms set up with that buyer who's going to live in the house, who's probably willing to spend more monthly because they want to be, that's their own home. But for us, it doesn't make sense because we're not able to create any type of cash flow.
Okay,
And
so
I'm suggesting you having that very open dialogue.
all right, so you're talking about an assign option. So we're still looking for somebody that wants a lease to own.
Somebody that wants to do owner financing. Because I'm not suggesting you use the AO agreement. I'm suggesting you get the best terms possible with the seller that gives you enough spread that you can then take it to market, offer up owner financing with these terms, increase the purchase price where you have spread in order. So let's say you buy it for 1.5, you sell it for 1.6, you get a $300,000 down payment, you take 100,000, he takes 200,000, and you simply now you have the P&S and you assign that buyer to the seller. And then now that buyer steps into your terms, steps into the 5% interest payment, steps into the down payment, steps into the 3-year balloon, and you simply walk away.
Okay, so what we're assuming then is that even though he hasn't been able to sell this home at 1.5, that if I raise the price, I would be able to sell it or find the right person, not sell it because I'm not a real estate agent, but find the right person.
Well, you are, once you have a P&S, you're not a realtor, but you have equitable interest in the property. So yes, you're
Right.
selling it.
Okay,
Yep.
but assuming that I'd be able to find someone because of the owner financing piece.
Correct. You're able to offer up to a new market, but I am suggesting that you still go back as if and find out what's more important to him and see if he's willing to wiggle on any of these terms. Because if you get a better interest rate at 3% or 4% better, you're gonna have more likely you're gonna have a buyer.
Right,
If you can get a better purchase price and get that thing down into like 1.4, okay, again, you don't have to raise it to 1.7, you raise it to 1.6 or 1.5, and you still feel good. So I'm suggesting you still go back and see if you can get the best terms possible, but in the back of your mind, and I'm happy to hop on the 3-way phone call with you. Absolutely open to doing that. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all right, it doesn't really matter what he says. We're just trying to figure out the best option. And if his terms at any point in time don't make sense, we walk away. And if his terms start to make sense, we then approach him with this suggestion because we specialize in this market.
okay. I think I've got it.
Great. And if you don't got it, we're recording this.
Yeah.
Right, so
awesome.
we specialize in this market, and we have the tools in place to screen for the perfect tenant.
Oh,
Or
this wouldn't even be a
buyer,
tenant,
whatever.
this would be owner financing, this is a buyer. So, yes, we've done hundreds of these deals nationally. Because you have when you're tied with us. We've done hundreds of these nationally. We have very specific systems and processes set up in order to find or locate, qualify, and then get them set up in order to be successful in this. Mr. Seller, based on all the information you've given us and based on your experience, what I'm suggesting is these numbers may not make sense for us to remain in the middle. What I'm suggesting is we get the best terms possible. We take it to market. We vet the buyers. We get you to a price that you're happy with. We find a buyer that's happy to pay the interest rate because they're going to live in the house. And we simply just take a portion of the non-refundable deposit that's above and beyond what you're getting. So if you need $200,000 down, if we can find a buyer, that gives us $300,000 down and we get to your price, then we're going to accept them. We'll look and present them to you and decide if we should accept them because we feel financially good and you feel financially good. But we're only going to move forward if we both feel good. And he literally has nothing to lose.
All right, sounds great.
Cool.
Thank you.
They got the coffee in.
Yeah. Awesome job. All right, Wendy, you're the last one up. How's
Yes.
it feel?
Good. Good, but there's a lot of things to learn for sure. So this is a for sale by owner. And the reason why she's selling is because of her work situation. So she spends 3 hours on the road commuting to work every single day.
Yeah.
So she's open to terms and she's asking for 380. At the appointment, I did not ask her how long she's willing to go as far as terms, but based on our conversation so far, it seems like price is important to her.
Okay.
Right. She told me that she has gotten a little bit of feedback from other people who have seen the house, that it is a little bit overpriced.
Okay.
I'm having trouble finding comps. I think it's because the place where the house is located, it's in a pretty
Rural area.
rural area.
Rural.
So I'm not sure where to go from here, but I did get some estimates from Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com.
What are they telling you at least?
They were somewhere around 350.
Okay. All right. So tell us around 350.
So yeah, Realtor.com 355, Zillow 348, Redfin 346. So about 350.
And how do they compare if you were just like pretending you got your buyer hat on, right? Like you were gonna go buy your own house, you're shopping around, you're excited. How does like those pictures compare to the property you were looking at? Like, is it better? Is it worse? Tell me.
You mean compare this house to
The ones that you were
other?
looking at for like comps.
Oh, this one's definitely better. It's got the most number of bedrooms. The other ones nearby, they're like, a lot of them are 2 bedrooms. So that's why I wasn't able to find any real good comps.
And she has a 3-bedroom with like an apartment or something, right?
So it's a 3-bedroom, but it's got an extra bedroom where it has its own separate entrance. So it can be used as an in-law suite, or she's currently renting it out to a friend.
Okay, so potential for additional income. Okay.
Right. So it has its own bathroom, its own, its own living space. So that is the reason why. Well, she justifies the reason why she's asking for 380 is because somebody who's going to move into the house can potentially rent that place out for, like you said, for additional income.
Is it a 4-bedroom or is it a 3-bedroom?
So it is 3-bedroom plus the 1-bedroom apartment. So total is 4 bedrooms.
Is it like a detached apartment or is it still in the same house?
It's attached to the house, but it's got a separate entrance.
Okay, so it's a 4-bedroom though, right? I'm just making it.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And those comps that you have, are they 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms?
No, I couldn't find anything with 4 bedrooms. There's one I found with 4 bedrooms, but it was sold in May of 2020. So
How about, I'm just looking at ways to do more comps. How about price per square foot? How do they compare?
oh, I did not look at that.
Well, here's a good thing to do right now. So, is there a particular property that, so how many different properties did you pull in order to kind of come up with this estimate?
So right now on Zillow, on her property, it's 155 per square foot.
Okay,
And then there are some other ones that I found. This one is at, this one sold in November of 2020. It's at $93 per square foot.
okay,
And
so is
then
the square footage high?
compared to this one, yes. And then let me see, there's another one, 2554. So this one's at $137 per square foot.
So a good way to, just so everyone's in my head again, the good way to do it is, number one, you go through and you look for all the houses in the area from the last 6 months. I would start, close and then expand, but try to stay in the same town. And I'd look at bed bath square footage and what are the prices, what they sell. Then next, I would look at what is currently on the market that is same bed bath square footage in the same area, or at least similar. That way you now have the ability to look at what the market is now looking at. So because we're in this like strange COVID market, I'd want to look at both, because I want to see what the past looks like and I want to see what the future looks like so I can make a good decision. Because the market was skyrocketing for a period of time in most areas, you want to continuously look at the trending future, because eventually things are going to slow down and they're going to start shifting. And you just don't want to be buying way up here on a trending market when it's actually going down. Okay. So it becomes less of an issue if you got long terms, like if you got 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you're buying it sub 2, less of an issue. Or owner financing, massive principal pay down, like 0% interest. You have leverage against the market when you're buying that way. But for if I'm looking at like a rule of thumb, you want to just look at all angles. Next, if you don't have a lot of comps and that match the bed bath square footage, then I would start looking at price per square foot, so you can at least have something in common for these properties. So she may be looking for 380, it may be higher in square footage and beds, but and compared to the house next door, that's only a 2.2. But if we look at the price per square footage, they should be reasonable. They should be within reason. Is that making sense?
Well, Zach, I found one house. It's on the same road. Just got sold about a year ago, January 29th, 2021.
Yeah.
And per square foot price was 185.
Okay. So let's keep that in mind. I honestly feel like maybe we don't have enough information yet to make exact offers, but let's keep you rolling. Let's keep you rolling in this deal. Okay. So my action step for you would be like, let's really dive into the comps in the area, and let's just make sure that we're clear. So what I used to do was I'd use either PropStream, Zillow, Redfin's fine. Like, it sounds like you got the tools available, but I'd really outline and I would say, all right, bed bath square footage within the last 6 months and the last 12 months. And I'd write it on a sheet of paper in an Excel spreadsheet. And then I would have like the price per square footage and all that available. So we could just look at it and say, all right, this is what we're looking at. And if she really is $30,000 above, then we got to be aware of that. But I also want to have the information in front of me to make that decision. that make sense?
Okay.
So if you could just organize that, that'd be super helpful. 'Cause then you have a real clear, because what I want by the end of this is you just have real clear, like, or either a real clear next step or be really clear on why you made those options and made that offer. Because at the end of the day, we're helping you buy properties that you're going to put in your portfolio. And if you're not clear about it, then it's obviously not going to, that's not going to help your confidence. Right. Okay. All right. So we got 380 purchase price. Comps are kind of telling us 350. What's the mortgage on the property?
She owes a little bit less than 60,000. I think
Okay.
it was around 58. And the reason being she bought it really cheap because it was a foreclosure when she bought it.
Well, this becomes really interesting. Why do you say? Because if you did say a 5-year deal, and let's say, as my guess is the principal pay down, this is going to be pretty good. And the monthly payment's going to be, what's the monthly payment?
It's $338.78 PITI.
I'm sorry, what was it again?
I'm sorry, $638.78 PITI.
Yes. So this is what I'm saying. You got massive cash flow here. This is gonna be great. My guess is rental in the market is about 2,000.
2,000. I think that's on the higher end.
1,500.
1,500 sounds more reasonable.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I sound reasonable today. So 900 bucks. So you get $900 spread. Great. That feels good. Also, my thought is you get such a low scenario here. You could potentially do a lease purchase for 3 to 5 years and then change this to owner financing if she wants to continue to get cash flow and not have a big lump sum. Because paying off 58K is not going to be that big of an issue. You do a bunch of deals, get a handful of deals, take a payday 2 or 3 and pile it into this property, and now you have 100% owner financing. Now you have the seller to owner finance this property and you change it to principal only payments, or you change it to a small interest rate and you do it for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You could own this property for a long time. And that's just the deal within the deal.
I didn't quite get that. Are you saying if she were to agree to do a lease purchase for 3 to 5 years, at the end of that term, pay off or buy the property from her?
Pay off the loan. There's a loan maybe in 5 years from now. Let's say the loan's like 40,000. And you own a property that's 350,000. Let's say you get a good tenant buyer in the property. You now transition to moving it to an owner financing or potentially a wrap deal, where you now transition. The owner now creates the mortgage. You close off her monthly payment. Now there's just one mortgage on the property because you paid off the first. She holds one. You create a nice note on the property. You now have a good tenant buyer in the property. You now transition that, sell it on a wrap mortgage, and now you're the bank because you hold title.
Oh, okay.
And now you have and you sell this thing on a contract for deed or a deed in lieu. And now you just turned a 3-year deal into a 10-year deal.
Okay. That
We
sounds
do
good.
this often. You do this often. Now you just went from a 3-year deal to a 10-year deal. It's like you just create a brand new deal, thin air, because you start doing more deals and you're like, oh, I got a $20,000 payment coming in from this guy, and I got another $20,000 coming in from this guy. And if I go ahead and pay off this loan potentially, now I just changed this from a $70,000 3 payday deal from using cash flow from other deals. And now I just made it into a $200,000 owner financing deal for the next 10, 20 years of my life. Just forward thinking there. So,
Okay.
Okay. My thought is just looking at this from a 10,000 foot view. we just got to do a little bit. I think you and I just got to dive a little bit further into the comps. If you don't mind just organizing that, and then you and I can hop on the phone either today or tomorrow so we can work out some options. I'm sorry, either tomorrow or Friday to work on these, finalize these options. Then from there, based on what that tells us, I would think you would probably go for like a 5-year deal, 5-year owner finance, or 5-year lease purchase, and we can potentially even offer potential sub-2 deal as well, because you could buy this subject to the existing loan and still give her cash flow on her owner financing because the monthly payment is so low.
Okay,
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
yes,
Okay, cool. All right. So you clear on what your next steps are?
yes,
Okay. As soon as you got those comps all written up, just send them over to me. It'll probably take me 10 or 15 minutes, and then we can finalize these options. Or I'm suggesting we send a lease purchase option and a subject to option. Cool.
okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Has this been helpful for everyone? Great. All right.
Yes.
So do you think it makes sense for us to do more of these?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Awesome. Yep. I'll make note of that. This is just kind of, I was leaving the gym this morning and was like, maybe we can get everyone together. We got 4 deals at least that we're working on in our immersion group, which is what you're seeing. And I was like, all right, well, let's just get everyone together and let's make this happen. So I'm glad that that was super helpful.